Hello everyone,
I got a new microphone.
and I've got a special video for you today. Here I have Lightning Larry Luciano, which is my new railjet. Props to you if you get the reference. Lightning Larry is so fast that the mods of Hyrule Grand Prix are considering a separate category for railjets. It's got the speed of the 04 for my Master Series. It's got the maneuverability of the zip rail. And it has the drifting of the Agile Aeronaut. It's almost perfect. First, we're going to start with the experiment that sparked this whole video, the proper fan alignment. I had a comment on my 04 video saying that they hit the speed limit with it, and I played around with the fan and I also hit the speed limit. So there was a better alignment. You can see that the line here is not straight. So I set up this experiment to try out different alignments of the fan with two rails that it was pushing on a cart. I lined up the system with a starting line there, and then I counted the amount of seconds until it hit my house. So you can see me setting it up here, detach the fan, activate it, and then I count the frames, and I will compare them in a grid after this clip. So here you can see 12 different configurations. I've lined them all up so the fan is about the same size and in the corner of each picture. So all you have to do is look at the position of the railings, and you can see the top and bottom rows we have a slant down, meaning I'm slowly raising the fan up. In the middle row, the middle of the fan is pointed at the railing with small adjustments. If we look at the times, we see the middle row is the best. There's one scenario where we get the smallest time, and that looks like it's right when the middle is pointed at the railing. Let's look at it closer. Yes, so we see that the top and bottom of the middle circle of the fan are pointed right at the top and bottom of the rim of the railing. With that in mind, here's how to build this railjet. We're going to have two fans, one control stick, one stake, 7 railings, and 1 star fragment. As we go, I'm going to show you some things not to do before I show you the proper way. So the first thing I wanted to do was figure out how to line up the stack railings with the fan. So I'm going to use a guardrail that goes vertically up from the fan, and I'll attach all of the stack railings and push them up right against that. So I'm trying to align it just to the side of the middle of the fan. But as you saw there, the railing wasn't completely vertical. So the way we should do this is horizontally. So we'll attach the fan horizontally here, and then we're going to try and attach the guard railing horizontally. And we want to line it up so that it's right on the edge of the middle circle. Here's an example of not a good placement. See how it's basically in the middle of the fan? We can use the green shadow to figure out where it's going to attach. So up a little higher. Yeah, or maybe right there. Let's go check it. So this looks like it could be okay. Let's test it out by attaching one of the stack railings. To do that, we're going to move the fan vertically. Grab our stack railing, rotate it 45 degrees forward, and then we're going to align the middle of the railing with the fan. Hold down on the right control stick and forward on the D-pad, and you want this flickering, because that means that it's considering attaching to the fan and that it's right next to the fan, because we want to really cage this loose fan in. Now we need to check if this stack railing is properly aligned with the middle of the fan. To do that, we're going to move it back horizontally. And now let's look at it. It looks like the fan is a little low. It's not blowing directly at the rim, it's just slightly lower. So let's start over. I'm showing you this because you're going to have to do it a couple times. So here I'm looking at the green shadow, lining it up with the edge of the middle circle of the fan. Let's go check it out. This looks promising as well. So I'm going to rotate it vertically again, and we're going to try attaching the stack railing. Rotate it 45 degrees forward. Hold forward on the control stick and down on the D-pad until you see that flickering, and attach it to the guardrail. Let's check this out. That looks pretty good. Let's look at it horizontally. I think it's a little easier to tell if it's horizontal. That looks pretty good. Yeah, that looks like it's pointed right on. So we're gonna go with this. Now we're gonna attach 3 more stack railings. To start, I was using a dragon scale, but I end up not using it. For one, you just don't get the right kind of attachments, like it doesn't line it up. As you saw with the 04, it had a curve to it. And here I'm showing a couple different scenarios where it doesn't really work. Here I can't even attach to the dragon scale while it's right next to the first stack railing, because you want them all really tight, right? Here I'm going to turn it around, see if the curved side is a little better. Another reason to not use the dragon scale for this is because you just get a small attachment point. The more Ultra Hand Goo is, the stronger the connection between the two parts. As we see here, I attached it, but it looks really tight on the bottom and angled at the top, so I feel like this is going to pop off with like a bump or something. You also want it pushed up right against the guardrail, and that looked a little too high. So here I'm going to try attaching the dragon scale in a different position to see if it works any better. But as I was putting it on, I saw that there was a bunch of wiggle room. You want it to be pressed up against the guardrail so it has the right angle with the fan. So I end up getting rid of the dragon scale. It'll look ugly, but it'll be much more functional. So we're going to grab our second rail, push forward on the D-pad, and then up with the control stick until you see the flickering and the option to fuse it with the guardrail. But we're going to fuse it with the first stack railing so you get all that Ultra Hand Goo. Now it's time for the third rail. Same thing, push forward on the D-pad, up with the control stick till it's flickering, then attach it. Time for the fourth. And hopefully, when you get all of these on here, it'll look like a diagonal line if you look at the rims on the top. It's hard to tell with all this Ultra Hand Goo though, so one way to check it is to use auto build. So I'm going to go into my auto build history, and without building, I'm just going to look at the schematic because it won't show the goo. You can lift it all the way up with the control stick and check, and that looks pretty lined up. A little hard to tell because it's far away. But I think we're going to go with this. Looks pretty good. Now we need to cage the loose fan before we disconnect the guard railing. So to do that, we'll attach it to the stake, grab one more railing, we're going to put this one underneath the fan. Rotate it so it's the long direction, this will be the length of the plane. And we're going to push forward on the D-pad and up with the control stick, so it's right against the fan. And then you want to fuse it to the stack railing. You don't want to fuse anything to this fan because this will be the loose fan. Now we're going to grab one more railing to be one of the sidewalls. Props to these two for using the vertical sidewalls. While it does use one more railing, it offers a drifting ability. We're going to attach it there to the base railing, right next to the fan. Make sure you see that flickering so you know that it's basically touching the fan. Then we're going to shake it free from the guardrail and attach it to any of the existing railings. You want to push forward on the D-pad while you attach it. So it still looks pretty aligned. Now we're going to detach the guard railing and use that as the other sidewall. You can rotate this either direction. I kind of like the not linear side to be up, the look of it. But so make sure you have it so you have the option to fuse it to the fan, meaning it's touching the fan, but you fuse it to the base railing, like that. That fan looks pretty caged in. We need to adjust this one though. The guardrail prevented us from pushing it all the way forward. There, that looks pretty good. So it should look like this. Now we're going to attach the attached fan right behind this front loose fan to be like the zip rail configuration. Push it all the way forward with the D-pad. You want to see the option to fuse it with the fan, meaning it's touching it. We see there's a small gap between them. You can get it closer than that even. I noticed that I could push it up a little bit, so I decided to fuse it to one of the sidewalls, just for that really tight pinch, keeping the loose fan from moving at all, now that we have this great alignment. So that looks better. Now we're going to grab a Star Fragment to fully cage in this loose fan. I'll show in a moment why this is pretty necessary, especially for the racing. You can turn it a bunch of different ways. There's one way like this that's symmetric that I like, and it looks like it has like 3 of the points that will push against the fan to keep it from moving forward. Attach to the middle, and hold down on the control stick on the right so that it's pushed against the fan, but you fuse it against the stack railing again. That way there's nothing fused to the loose fan. Alright, our one last step is to put on the control stick. So put it on this incline. We'll use that small angle to really cage in the loose fan. And you want to fuse it to the attached fan, not the loose fan, but as far forward as possible. Looks like it's glitching out a little bit, so I'm going to step off the back. And push forward on the D-pad until you have your furthest away option to fuse it to the attached fan. And then it should really squeeze on top of the loose fan and cage it. Let's grab the dragon scale and then do a test flight. Remember to detach the loose fan, otherwise you won't go anywhere. And then you can just use a sword to hit both fans. It'll go through the attached fan. And we're off. For some reason, the air from the loose fan can go through the Star Fragment, just like it can go through the stack railings as well. But yeah, we see good speed here. We got a drift to the right, good turning radius. Let's get some Star Fragment speed now by going slightly down. Yeah. This thing's very fun because it's got the drifting. You can kind of glide on the ground too. So here's the reason why to use the Star Fragment. I was doing some field tests where I was purposely starting to glide on the ground like this, a little bounce, and that moved the loose fan. Here I'm driving without a Star Fragment, and I try to go down in the valley here, but I can't push forward, so it's kind of locked in an up position. And that's because when I bounced on the ground, that loose fan got pushed into a slightly different position. Some ways I tried to fix this were by going directly vertical, basically just trying to move around so the fan would dislocate. See how I'm moving left and right here, and then I'm able to go horizontal again, so that dislocated the fan. On a side note, because it's all made of railings, you're basically protected if you accidentally run out of battery like this. See how I ran out of battery and I'm right next to all these enemies? They'll pop up in a moment. There they are. If you just go down and stand in the railings, they may look at you, but they're not going to attack you. Turns away. Gets hit with an arrow though. Well, got my battery back. Off we go. Time for some trial runs. I'm going to be racing the Gerudo Canyon Pass, which is one of the Hyrule Grand Prix race courses. Check it out on r/Hyrule Grand Prix. To start, I use a rocket to get up. We'll go through the shortcut. A little wobbly there. And it's really tough at this ending spot. Dang it. Alright, we'll try this cave again. Alright, no. Nope. Oh. Well, you can get out of water. And the ending spot? Yeah, too high. Oh! Oh! Okay. And... nope. Oh, one thing to point out, though, is that now that I have the Star Fragment, a bump like that, I'm still able to dive, so that fan did not get pushed out of its position. So this is a pretty good cage, although not a good run. Alright, what can we do with this final wall, though? Oh, yeah, on the ground. Oh! Nice. Okay. Oh, kiss the water. Oh. Oh. This time I added icy meat on the sides to try and prevent some of these bounces from happening. But it made the steering really weird. Like, it is much slower at responding now because it has that extra weight far out on the sides. Yeah, I can't make it around those corners. Alright, this one's a pretty good run. And you get completely stopped by an NPC. Alright folks, this is the God run. This is what I submitted to Hyrule Grand Prix. I used 2 rockets. Something I figured out is don't use a rocket right in the middle over the loose fan because the jet fuel pushes the loose fan around. So here we got a nice smooth entrance to the cave. I'm trying to keep the comet tail active as long as I can by not going up and down, but staying mostly horizontal as far as I can. Exiting that cave, you gotta start going up right before you leave and curve to the right. So here I get that comet tail back, and around this corner I want to keep that comet tail the whole time. We gotta make it under this checkpoint. And then just get through this canyon. Now we gotta go down a little bit around the corners, another checkpoint. And the next checkpoint is much lower, so we gotta be careful at this point with the increased speed. And we make it under. Little butt scoot. And how are we gonna do at the ending? Oh, little bump. Oh, we got it. Alright. When I touch the ground. Alright, we had a 128. For reference, the previous record was a 206 with the zip rail. Let's look at some features now. On a dive, with these 4 stacks in the front, we get 38.3 meters per second. So that's about as good as you can ask for, because the speed limit's 40. So fun. Look how quickly it evened out too, and now we've got all forward momentum. I tried adding a construct head and 2 lasers on the front with this 4 stack, and it was very front heavy, so I had to hold back quite a bit as I was going. But I mean, yeah, it can target enemies pretty well. You're going a little too fast to do more than tickle them. But what I realized is with this weight configuration, if you hold back, it will kind of just hover in place. So I think with the right maneuverability, it would work. It just can't carry probably more than 4 lasers at a time. Maybe if you added 5 or 6 railings, it would work. So here's 5 railings. We can see it's much faster. I don't have the weapons on the front in this case. I just wanted to look at the maneuverability. Very fast. I feel like I'm approaching the speed limit, so I'm not trying to fully dive, I'm trying to gently dive, and it works. So I guess I got some work to do on the Grudo Canyon Pass, huh? With this faster version of Lightning Larry. But I think with this extra rail, you could probably attach 1 or 2 more weapons. Now we're gonna try a dive. I'm gonna do mostly full dive for a bit, and then at the end I'll do a full dive when I'm close to the ground. You heard me say that it's almost perfect, and that's because at neutral it wants to go up, but that's good for going through checkpoints and races, and that's good for putting some extra weight on the front, like weapons. Fully forward. Yep. We got broken off. But, look at this. The plane did not break apart on landing because we made all of those strong attachments. So, and we didn't lose the loose fan. So, double win. Our plane is completely intact. Enjoy some trick shots. And with that, I hope you have fun building Lightning Larry Luciano, and thanks for watching, everyone.